Yo, 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 what is going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 521. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
What's up, people? How's it going?
Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Carlos Romero.
Yo, yo, yo.
Coming in right in the nick of time, Mr. Richard Bailey Jr.
What's up, everybody?
And as always, Brian Manjoma.
What's up? What's up?
All right, guys, you already know, back with another one. I'm going to start the show off. Oh, yeah. What's up?
There's one thing we need to do before we even start.
Yeah, well, actually, before we even start, there is one thing. This is a little bit weird, but I'm going to do it because fuck it. I'm giving myself a shout out. Shout out to me for my 45th birthday, bruh. That
was what I was about to do.
Yeah, I beat you to it.
It never sounds right when you're doing yourself.
Meh, fuck it, anyway. I did it.
It's like my show.
Yeah, fuck it. It's 45 years, man. It's crazy, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, so I want to give a shout out. So obviously the main reason I want to do this is because I want to give a shout out to the fans who are giving me a lot of love in Discord today. So Thank you to you guys, you know? But yeah, man, if you want to say something, go right ahead.
Well, happy birthday.
Yay.
We probably said it a few times already in our personal chats.
Yep.
But yeah, happy birthday. Hope you had a good one. I hear you had some foods.
Oh, Dominican food, man. Chicharrones, morcillas. Oh, man, that was good. I mean, it fucking guineitos, like some arroz con guandule. I was good, bro. Like, I had it all, man. I haven't eaten like that in a while. Probably since Christmas. I know that doesn't sound too long. My sister came through with that food. Woo. But this is, and it's crazy because, like, there's very few places in New York that have, like, good chicharrones. Like, you have to go to the Bronx for this shit. Like, that's where my sister picks it up from, What
about the Dominican place that used to be near your place?
They didn't serve him. They didn't serve that stuff.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
That place?
Yeah, the chicharrones, like the small little pork, like whatever. Yeah, they didn't serve that stuff. Do it? Yeah. Right. Most Dominican places don't have fritura, as we call them, like just fried shit,
Huh.
Like they have mangú for days, obviously, and a bunch of other stuff, plátanos.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, a lot of them just don't have fucking chicharrones, or morcilla. So it was good times. And obviously it was all indoors because it was disgusting outside. Although I will say a lot better than snow, which is what usually happens on my birthday,
It's been looking like Silent Hill for the last few days.
Yeah.
It's all foggy and
the irony that winter is my most hated season. My birthday is literally in the smack middle of it, and then according to that fucking groundhog, winter's supposed to last longer. So it's like, God damn, it's not gonna be fun, Bubba Bass Anglers in the house. You may know him as Mr. Torrance Davis.
Excuse me?
Chicharrones is another word for balls. Nah, maybe in your world, Torrance, crazy.
No, that's huevos.
Huevos, yeah. Man, if Torrance had the making food, man, he'd be done,
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into it, man. We got some questions tonight. Not a lot of them, but yeah, thanks, Torrance. Appreciate that. Let's get into it, man. Black Metal Gamer starts us off. All right. PlayStation seems to rely on third-party game sales to stay in the green, effectively operating as a console version of Steam. Should PlayStation reduce the budget and streamline the game development process so it can release first-party games faster? I mean, that's something all these companies need to do, streamline the fucking process and stuff. But I don't know. But here's the thing. I said this on the last show, too. Sony, in a way, doesn't have an incentive to release first-party games. Even without a lot of first-party games, they're still winning, But that's on account of their main competition, Xbox, just doing horribly, And Nintendo is not their competition at all,
Yeah, well, I mean, also, I think they decided to go down the route of doing service games, and
we got a question about that later, by the way.
A lot of these service games have taken up the field. They made this decision, and now where are we? It's the time frames make sense Even despite the service, well, most service games not having the same sort of development time on them, they're not supposed to last 5 to 6 years, but they're supposed to be smaller budgeted things that they could literally push out and then essentially develop it while it's still out on the field. But you notice that we haven't seen next to none of them. One of them got canceled before it even did anything. So
that
Concord, doing so awful, they canceled it. Yeah, so they're probably gonna,
Destruction All Stars didn't go anywhere.
Destruction All Stars didn't go anywhere. Was Foam Stars considered one of those things too?
Not sure, but that was but that was
Sony though.
That was Square
That's
Enix.
not Sony, but
Yeah.
I mean it officially that game is the only that the PlayStation is the only console that things have showed up on, isn't it? It hadn't shown up on Xbox or PC.
But it's still, just to be clear,
I mean, it's not a first party game, but it is definitely it might. I don't know what the full deal is on it, but at least it seems like it's one of those sorts of, second party.
It's not. It's a third party exclusive. Square Enix is not. It's not like some company that's beholden to Sony. But anyway, we're getting off track. But regardless, like you're right. It's like these service games are. You would think they would come out faster, but they take just as long as any other game to develop. So what's the point?
Well, Yeah, I think it was just an awful. And again, obviously, a company wants to try these things because, again, like Yoshida said, even service games are easy to justify to the executives or the money count, the bean count.
Fortnite, that's all they got to say.
Like Fortnite or any of the other ones. But again, like that's such a hard space to deal with this, compete in, because if everybody's playing Fortnite and if everybody's playing Overwatch or Valorant, what room is there in this space for these other things? I mean, granted, one of their biggest their only success in this was a sequel, which was Helldivers 2, but that's it.
Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know what the hell Sony could do really to start pumping out more first party games.
I mean, the obvious thing would be to lower the scope, smaller titles,
Sean Layden,
smaller titles, smaller teams, right? Go with instead of having a AAA team of like over 200 people working on a title, like the folks that worked on God of War or the Last of Us or or Horizon Zero Dawn. You go with 100-person teams, almost the size, which is considered a middle A team.
Brian, doesn't that sound like something they used to have?
Yes.
A certain studio from a certain region of the world.
Oh, it sounds like something that they have now, like a certain astronomical robot.
Yes.
Yes. Which, by the way, that studio has only 65 people who work at that studio.
Yeah, but man, you obviously, I know you're 100%. But you know what studio we're talking about? It's Japan studio. Yes. They had that.
Japan.
Yeah. But remember, Sony got into that rut of like, oh no, everything used to be big blockbuster.
Everything used to be a big blockbuster. No, it's always been like, again, change of leadership just sort of lost them what they really needed. You have, and again, now you have all the people that made those. Most of the people that have been around classically from the era of Sony from the beginning or PlayStation from the beginning are all gone. Yoshida's gone. All those guys are all gone. And they probably could have said the same thing at the same time. Hey, listen, no, not everything needs to be a big budget, insane sort of game. We got to fill in the spaces with smaller with middle A titles and essentially bring them up to those AAA standards, you can like it does well. All right, but just a sequel, bigger budget, do a sequel. All right, make that even bigger.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Kishak says they had that studio, but the people weren't supporting them. They weren't selling as much as Sony wanted them to. So that's what happened. But it's like you shouldn't have expectations of those studios like that, you know?
I think the thing about it is that they always came under budget. They always they did moderately well. But I mean, if they're only just expecting these every single studio under their umbrella to be being $1 billion sellers, they are definitely got something seriously wrong over there.
Yeah. Yeah. What about the rest of you guys? Chime in. What do you think about all this?
I feel like Sony's leading into a path where console sales, being number one on console sales, at least in relativity to Microsoft, is only going to take them as far. You know, this whole notion where they're just going to rely on third party to prop up their console and having all this service games which they're already backtracking on already, and maybe a Naughty Dog game every 7 years, maybe a Santa Monica game every 7 years, and maybe another what's it called, Sucker Punch game every 5 years. I don't think that's gonna cut it.
Yeah.
So they need to change something, or they're gonna. I don't know, man. I just feel like I haven't been a fan of what PlayStation's been doing for years now. And like you mentioned, yeah, they're on top, but this whole hubris of how they handle things is just I don't see it just carrying on. I feel like, eventually it's just going to lead to a point where it's not going to be sustainable.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's what Sean Layden has been saying forever. And when he originally said that, people ridiculed him, but now they're not laughing anymore,
Well, because they don't even give you the like, remember it was like the third person studio, like PlayStation's a third person narrative studio. They hardly even give you that anymore.
Yeah, no, they don't really do that. I don't even know what the hell they do anymore, to be honest.
Well, everyone's too focused on chasing the live service whale, and not focusing on narratives, like Carlos said. And the live service chase causes budgets to blow out of proportion, right? You have these huge online multiplayer pursuits. Look at the budget of Concord. I guarantee whenever Fair Games happens, look at the budget for that. There's just, instead of putting that money into smaller story-driven games with IPs that they have a ton of IPs that they sit on that are languishing. Bring back Infamous, bring back Sly Cooper, bring back, there's so many. Bring back the Twisted Metal, make a good one. Anything, right? But everything doesn't need to fall under, we need live services. No, because unless you hit with it, unless you can displace another popular live service things, you will languish, because nobody's going to drop whatever the hot game is to pick up your game just because it's live service. Unless you are offering something that, Fortnite or, Helldivers is not offering, nobody's going to leave those titles to jump on yours.
Yeah.
And you don't have Call of Duty diehards. Sony doesn't have those guys where they're on the next thing. They're not feeding them. You don't have them hooked on that, like that. So it's tough, but they keep chasing it. They keep mentioning it, and it's like, stop. Like, you could, for the budget that you spent on Concord, you could have developed 3 or 4 smaller, either single player or even local multiplayer or whatever, story-driven games. But you didn't, right? And what happened to that? It's flushed that money down the toilet.
Yeah. I want to read this statement from Kishak because it is a good point. The quarterly report that we read on Thursday from PlayStation seems to be that the online discourse, which we're having now on PlayStation, doesn't reflect reality at all. Goes back to my earlier point. Yeah, like guys like us are complaining, but Sony's still making money at the end of the day doing what they're doing now. So what incentive do they have to change course?
Exactly.
They'd have to lose money, and they're not losing money yet.
They are losing money. Doing write-offs is not sustainable either.
That's a
Like
good point.
the
Yeah.
reason that report looks good is because they wrote off Concord. They basically erased it, so they could get a tax write-off. That's going to bite them in the ass later this year, I
That's a good
guarantee it.
point. That's a good
But
point.
for now, it looks great, right?
And-
The dividends look good and everything looks great. If everything was so great, Fair Games would be launching when it was planned to, unless there's problems. There's no technical problems. Fair Games is going to change because they realize that the road that they've gone down, that's not selling.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about. If you've seen the game, you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. And we had a question about that. I'm really glad you brought that up because that is a good point. It's like they didn't mention Concord in that. That report would have looked a lot different if they had taken that game
Yes.
into account.
And also, obviously they say they're doing the same numbers as they are. They're doing equivalent numbers to what they were doing on the from the PlayStation 4 era, but it's the same. But the thing is that the consoles cost more now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like, again, software is key. It doesn't. Yes, okay. The console's doing. Still making money. That's great. That allows you to make more consoles and stuff like that. But again, they're severely lacking in the software sector on their own end.
Yeah, I mean, the Sony isn't even the number one publisher anymore. It's Microsoft.
Yeah, it is Microsoft. Yeah. That's crazy. All right, man. Moving on here. Another question for Black Metal Gamer. Another question about PlayStation. Can PlayStation's new Japanese-centered leadership help steer the company in a better direction? I sure hope so. I sure hope so. Chris, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the course correction is coming from there and that they realize the problem. I think they do. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been a sea change at the C-level executive, right? They would have just let Herman Holtz probably escalate to that level, or hire somebody else like Jim Ryan. But they didn't. They put a Japanese dude in there, and they see what the problem is. Also, there are layoffs actively happening at SIE in San Francisco. They have to cut the dead weight. They have to cut a lot of this problems that Jim Ryan has created, and course correct heavily. And this was pretty much the only way to do it. And Tony and I have said this.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest mistakes Sony made in the Jim Ryan era is moving their headquarters to San Francisco. That was one of the biggest mistakes they made. And I don't care if you're like, well, they're making money. Not really. No, they're losing money. They're just writing it off. There's a systemic rot in PlayStation that has been created from doing that. And the only way to fix it is it has to come from outside. It has to come back from Japan. So I'm really have my fingers crossed. And I can't say I can't read this guy's mind. I don't know his positions, and I haven't seen an interview with him or anything. If I do, I will speak on it. But I'm very much have faith that he is going to make those corrections, and it seems like he's already started. It's going to take a while for that to bear fruit, though. Like him coming in a month ago or 2 months ago, whenever he was appointed, it's not a lot of time. There are projects in the works. There's things he has to make decisions on, whether to cut, what to put into the pipeline, and all that takes years to bear fruit. So it's going to take a while to see the results of that.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Carlos. Go ahead, bro.
I agree with Chris. It's not like a politician that they throw out their ideas and their platform and stuff. We have no clue what this guy stands for.
Yeah.
In terms of Sony and the way they want to make games. So we're kind of just sitting around in a Monster Hunter game, getting someone off an SOS flare, a Japanese coming in, we thinking they're saving us. Hopefully this guy does save Sony, but I can't really speak on it intelligently, because I just have no clue who this person is and what they stand for and what they want Sony to be in the future, what their mission statement is.
Yeah, all I'll say is, Chris, it's San Mateo, by the way, where they're based out of right now. But, I'm still going to use this regardless because I think it's a good quote. Basically, Sony needs to stop upholding San Francisco values and uphold Japanese values, you know? So that'll be a good thing. Stop all that fucking West Coast bullshit, because it's not good. Concord, that's all I need to say about that. But like you guys said, we also don't know what this dude's about, so, you know, we'll see. But
I mean, there was some earlier things talking about even with the when they did the interim president of PlayStation before the SIE, which he did sort of mention the online and all that other stuff, and then that was before Jim Ryan took the seat. So they were definitely looking at the industry and saying, okay, they were looking at the industry and thinking, okay, America and all this sort of
Yeah.
this stuff is the future. Also, let's also add that, yes, granted, Sony, PlayStation is doing well, but it's not doing amazingly in Japan.
yeah, that's true.
This is mostly the Western world that's sort of, a lot of these numbers are coming from.
Yeah, I mean, they're not really doing a lot of Japanese style type of games. Not really. It's all been focused on the West, like you said. So yeah, hopefully this new guy will steer the ship correctly. But we'll see.
I have a question.
Why is it?
Why is it?
Yeah, what's up?
So you brought up something interesting. I'm curious, what type of, like, who could bring those types of games for Sony? Because they've laid off
You
pretty
mean like
much
studios and shit?
Yeah, because
Fuck.
what is it? Team Asobi is
Fuck.
probably the only one.
You're right, because you're right. Who do they have? They laid all the good, people that would be able to make those games. Team Asobi, they're still there, but Japan Studios gone.
I mean, Team Asobi is built off of some people that were left over from Japan Studio, but I don't foresee them ever putting out something like a Shadow of the Colossus or anything like that. To be honest, I'm almost afraid that they're just going to be just continue to be the Astrobot Studio.
Yeah, that's a good point. Kishak says, I feel like we should also clarify that just because he's Japanese doesn't mean he'll be better for the job. I think we said that. We said we don't know enough about this guy. I'm hopeful that he is, and I'm just speaking for myself. I think a Japanese person should be heading PlayStation, not a Westerner. That's my opinion, though.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, you had for the previous two heads of PlayStation were two Westerners.
Yeah, they did pretty good. That's true. Sean Layden and
Andrew House.
Yeah.
Andrew House,
Yeah.
and the big difference between those guys is they were also bilinguals, and they've been with the studio for a while.
Yeah,
at least
they're
on the-
yeah.
So they were
But
sort
to
of-
be fair, fucking Ryan's been there for a long time too.
Yeah.
Although I don't think he's bilingual.
No, he wasn't bilingual. In fact, his
Fuck the Japanese.
well, I think he is a leftover from Sony Europe.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, but yeah, he was definitely a lifer. But yeah, again, we'll see about this guy, but got to be better than Ryan. We've been asking for Ryan to go for years, so we got that at least. All right, let's move on here. Assyrian Air Force was also joining us in the chat tonight. Will PlayStation? Oh, excuse me. With PlayStation showing a lot of third-party games at State of Play, will any of them become console exclusive with PC releases, like Black Myth Wukong? Probably,
Well, I mean, like Black Myth is a weird situation because they don't have they didn't have a lot of experience doing sort of cutout, at least from what they say is they don't have a lot of experience doing like console type games, and also kind of cutting down a lot of their titles. They apparently have only been able to do, PC titles. So again, it may need some additional time from there. And remember that you got to remember, especially with that studio, or most Japanese studios, Chinese studios, is they don't really develop console games there.
Yeah, they don't.
PC games are the games that they put out there because PlayStations and Nintendos and all that sort of stuff had to be licensed to their own specific manufacturers in their own country, because just the way Chinese stuff works, you know.
Yeah. Wasn't Black Myth, and I'm glad you asked it because this was the second part of your question, which I didn't understand. Because I don't understand how it ties into PlayStation. Wasn't Black Myth Wukong wasn't Black Myth Wukong hard developed for Xbox Series S? I don't remember. But again, I don't understand what that has to do with PlayStation.
They mentioned that the Series S was an issue with them developing the Xbox version, and also Xbox has seems to have a mandate that all of their games are on all of their versions of their consoles, so they can't just choose a favorite. So I'm guessing that's what the issue is on their end, and that's what they've said classically. They just said, "Oh yeah, it's difficult to do that sort of thing. We got to cut everything down." I mean, the smart move would be, they hire a porting studio, somebody who's more familiar, who's obviously is familiar with Unreal Engine and is able to essentially cut the game down for the Xbox Series S itself. That would be the smart move. But to be honest, they're kind of at the best place they could possibly be, because if you think about it, talking about game sales, not a lot of game sales on that other side of the road. That's part of the reason why they're rolling all their big titles over to the other consoles, because they're not getting any sales on their side of the fence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't think we'll ever see, this is just, speculation. I don't think we'll ever see Black Myth Wukong on there unless Microsoft or Xbox is able to produce significant sales on their console and platform, or they specifically make a deal with them to work with their studio to essentially, port the game. But I don't think on their own they're going to do it.
Yeah, probably not. Kishak says, it seems like the China Hero project is working great for Sony since we're seeing more Chinese games being shown at their shows. Yeah, we had Black Myth, obviously, Tides of Annihilation. I don't know any other ones, but those are pretty big. And he says, I bet the same thing is going to happen in India from PlayStation with the India Hero project. Two big emerging markets for PlayStation. I mean, look what happened to Wukong. That game success is attributed to, the Chinese market. It sold a lot, in fucking China. There's a lot of people there,
And
I'm curious.
In general, it's a PC. I would say it's a PC title. So obviously in China, PC games just usually do gangbusters over there.
Yeah, and this is like a big AAA game, so obviously they were going to go ham. What's up, Carlos?
On pretty much what Manny mentioned, I'm curious what percentage of them were just PC gamers. I'm pretty sure the majority of them were. And
I would think, but we don't have those numbers. But that's a good question. Is Lost Soul Aside Chinese? Or is that? I thought that was. Thank you, Brian. Because I wasn't sure if it was Korean or Chinese. So there you go. It's another one. Is that part of the
Chinese?
Yeah. Is that also part of the China Hero project?
I don't know when the project started, so I'm not too certain.
Yeah. But yeah, Brian, what's your thoughts on this? PlayStation, exclusives and PC and all that.
There's nothing really much that I can say that has not been said, to be fair with you guys. So again, I think it's fascinating. And Manny makes a very good point that Xbox doesn't really get many sales, so maybe that's why we're not seeing anything coming to Xbox. I just looked at Lost Soul Aside, and it's not set to coming out on Xbox, so it's another PlayStation PC title. So yeah, that makes sense. That's all I really can say about that.
Cool.
Again,
yeah,
I think it's just one of those situations where unless Xbox somehow gets the sales up of their platform, then chances are we'll just see more of this type of thing. And also because I think it's fun. It's just funny how we're getting these types of games from like the East again. So it seems like it's like a second resurgence of Eastern games, which is great.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Brian, because you actually clarified. Yeah, because I was confused by the question, but I guess the question really was like, is whatever. If you have a company like the developers of Black Myth Wukong, like, okay, we're gonna put our game on PC, PlayStation, we're not gonna bother with the Xbox. I guess that was the heart of the question. Yeah, especially with the Series S. Yeah, I don't blame them. Why would you want to go through that shit? Limit the scope of your game. I mean, granted, you're kind of limiting the scope of your game by putting it on PlayStation as well. Let's just be honest, but still, but you're not. But I mean, you're limiting it. You're limiting it the scope in terms of like what you could do with it because of the hardware. But you're expanding the scope because of the player base. But even then, Black Myth, I'm pretty sure, would have done very well even without PlayStation. Most of us here believe this game probably sold most of its game sales on PC, but being on PlayStation definitely helps. But yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. By the way, sure enough, first I moved your other question to later because I want to keep all the PlayStation questions together. But I'll get to your other one as well. Kishat goes, I'm betting Black Myth helped PlayStation cement a foothold in China. Maybe. Again, I think that game in China probably sold almost all copies on PC,
Yeah, I think, because there was a point where that game was only going to be a PC exclusive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really think it moved the needle in terms of PlayStation sales in China. I think motherfuckers just bought it on PC.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think China is classically a PC location.
Yeah.
It's more Japan, and it's more like that's more of the console space, and even then it's sort of moving moving a different direction.
Yeah.
But I think definitely it being available on PlayStation also was significant because it is, I think I think it definitely made money on the console, just given the how impressive the game looked even from those early things. There was a lot of it. You remember when it first showed? It was
crazy.
Man, it was crazy, right? So I think definitely one of.
I mean, it's still crazy. Yeah, that's a good looking game, man.
It's one of those showcase type of titles, right? So I think it definitely impressed people. I think people wanted to play it, and I think I don't get granted. I don't think I don't think it was like China numbers, but I think it was good enough to warrant that release.
Yeah. Kishat goes, so why are the developers moving to consoles if they're primarily a PC user base? Moving to PlayStation because go ahead, Manny.
I would say the reason why is because of the deal that you just spoke about. PlayStation sees something in these titles, and there's also something seriously lacking within their own space. So they make these deals, these kind of they're doing these sorts of deals to essentially bolster the titles that are exclusive to their console. It's it's like it's the same idea. The paid exclusive sort of deal, but it's not nearly as bad as what stuff like Activision used to do and stuff like that. It's not those sorts of situations where they have the timed exclusive. Those guys they all have obviously even Wukong, the Wukong studio said it, they all have the option to release on the other consoles, but not the other console, but on the Xbox. But at the same time, with the S in the way, they don't see that as a viable option. And not to mention, it's not. I mean, if nobody's making any money on an Xbox, why the hell are you going to release it on there? You know how much it is to essentially release a title on a different platform. They don't just give you that shit. They'll probably spend more money porting the game and then working with Xbox, unless Microsoft themselves comes to the table and says, all right, we really want to have your Wukong game on our console. So we're going to put in the extra effort to try to get this thing to work on. That's the only option that I can see that will get those things onto an Xbox. If Microsoft themselves said, "All right, we'll work with you guys to essentially get this thing out on there." I don't like what Sony did.
All right, good stuff. All right, we got a couple questions from one of our favorite fans, Drunken Demon. Great name. All right. How should PlayStation compensate players who were not signed up for PlayStation Plus but who were affected by the outage? For no reason whatsoever, I'm gonna let Brian start this one off. How do you think they should be compensated?
I don't know. That's a very good question.
Fantastic question.
Because as far as I know, they haven't outlined anything for them. It's only the ones that were subscribed get the extra days. So if you're not subscribed and you were affected by the outage, then what do you get? Shafted?
So just to clarify, people who are not signed up to PlayStation but were affected, it's like people who are playing like Fortnite or some shit.
Yeah, because if this thing was that you couldn't sign in, then all those games that require sign in didn't work, right?
Yeah.
So if you're a guy who just will say, "Oh yeah, let me just again, as you said, play some Fortnite, play some free-to-play games," and you couldn't sign in, then you were still affected. So what do you get?
Nothing. That's what you get. You don't get nothing.
I mean, a free-to-play game like
Fortnite. They should. That'd be nice.
They should, but I mean, there's also the thing about Fortnite is you can play Fortnite wherever you want.
Kid Shot goes, they weren't paying for the service, so why should they be compensated?
Well, I mean, they're still
affected by it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
how many free apps do you use, and then something goes down, and you get something for it? So.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, obviously what if there are people who are Fortnite players that play just the free version of Fortnite, which doesn't, use the PlayStation, you don't need to have PlayStation Plus to run, supposedly, right? So, and let's say you don't have a PC, maybe you don't want to play it on your stupid ass cell phone. I mean, granted, there are more options to play those titles, but yeah, there should be a little compensation for something. I don't know. If you're logged in only on a PlayStation, maybe you get a little bit of extra costumes or something just for the fact you couldn't be playing. Who knows?
Yeah. People in the chat are saying, kind of agreeing with us, like, hey, they were affected. Kishak goes, my ISP goes down all the time, but I don't get jack shit for it. They should be lucky to get 5 days of service, but they're not getting that. They're not getting anything extra, and they were affected. So, in my opinion, they should be compensated.
Your ISP goes down, and you don't complain to your cable company. I mean, every single time my shit goes down, I call those punks up and get some money off on my cable bill.
It is it is very rare when my ISP goes down, but when it does, they get a call. They get a call. What the fuck? I'm paying for this shit.
Yeah, we're paying. If you're paying for the shit, call them up.
Call them up. Don't give in to them like that, bro.
Yeah,
I only have one ISP provider, and you shouldn't take that bullshit from them.
Exactly.
Back when I lived in the projects and I was stuck with Time Warner, that shit would go. I had their number memorized, bro, because it went down all the time. I was always calling them up, and I couldn't move to another one. But still, you got to get. You can't let them. Fuck you. Let's just be honest. Exactly. Assholes. Like, basically, make life uncomfortable for them because they're making life uncomfortable for you. All right. So yeah. Anybody else have any questions? How PlayStation fans who are not signed up to PS Plus could be compensated? I think a free game would be good. I think that's a good one.
Yeah, free game or some maybe if you're a Fortnite player, you play a little, you get some cool costume.
Yeah, that will also depend on the developer because like Monster Hunter, obviously they're giving you a free day.
Yeah, they gave extra time for all of those titles.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
and everybody wins off of that one, even the Xbox and PC guys.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else? Compensation?
Compensation.
Asian.
I mean, I mean the free game. I don't know, because it's like they barely give free games away with the PlayStation Plus subscription, but you don't get to keep those games. So it's like that seems like a very charitable thing for Sony to do that.
Yeah, they're
no
not
one would
gonna
ever
do it.
anticipate.
Yeah, they're not going to do it. Let's
Yeah.
just be honest.
Well, hold on a second. So Carlos, are you saying that you don't want a free version of The Last of Us Part 2 remastered for your trouble?
It's not that I wouldn't like that. It's more like there's no way in hell Sony would ever do that. 'Cause you know how they are, man. They won't give anything away. And if they give you something away, it's like it comes with a crutch where it's like, oh, you need PlayStation Plus. They got to have something.
Mhm.
Yeah. Free copy of Destruction All Stars.
Yeah, there you go, kid. Hey, kids.
Oh, man.
Do you like service games?
Do you like service games? Ultimate compensation from Jolly Yellow Nerd. Free copy of Concord for all affected players.
Yeah, you get a defunct game.
Yeah, there
get,
you
like,
go. That's
You
funny,
put it
man.
on your wall. Be like,
Yo, you guys are
own-
crazy.
My PlayStation Network went down, and all I got was this useless game.
Yeah, right. Concord. Trash. All right, another one from Mr. Drunken Demon. How do you feel about Fair Games being pushed to 2026? I heard Richard Bailey Jr. is very devastated about this. He was looking forward to it.
All right. Well, I would like to respond to this question directly. For our friend, the birthday boy, Mr. Tony Polanco.
Yes.
First and foremost, this is a phenomenal question. Let me say, it's fair to say I don't give a damn about this game. All right, now let's say this. Now Sony can delay it, obviously, but if we've learned anything from Concord, it doesn't matter how long the game is in development. If the concept is garbage, then it will continue to be garbage. So, we know that Jade Raymond is working on this title. It feels as though she's worked on a lot of titles in this industry. Some of the stuff is, like Assassin's Creed. I like the work she did on Assassin's Creed, but it feels like if she does make a game, it could go either way. It sometimes still gets a little bit of a pass because they think that they all are praising the work that she did on Assassin's Creed. But I'm not sold on this game, and obviously Sony's strategy of the live service stuff, I don't think it's going to be successful. At least probably not with this game. I mean, I don't know. We haven't seen anything yet, but as far as it getting delayed, I don't care about this because I probably won't be playing it next year.
There you go. By the way, quick shout out to Torrance for the $5. He goes, the one console feature is coming. Read this at the end of 2026 when Fair Games won't be out. Rich, I want to touch on what you said about Jade Raymond because I think it would be fair to say not games she's worked on, games she's been associated with. Because most of her games don't drop out. Yeah. They don't come. Like
that's true.
She goes to these studios, her name is tied to a game or a studio, and then we don't hear shit. She's been writing the coattails of Assassin's Creed for fucking like almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't think that name means anything, to be honest. Let's prove me wrong, man. But yeah, I'm not surprised by this. And wouldn't this be the 11th live service game that's going to be potentially delayed? What happened? It was supposed to be 12. Now we only got Marathon's going to be the last one then? Very interesting, man.
But let me just have one last comment. I know you said that I was excited for this game. No. That is our boy, Chris. He is the one that was excited for this game. Ever since they announced, there's a live service game, another live service game. I can't wait to play that game.
Yeah, Chris, what do you think of fucking Fair Games?
I hate to disappoint Rich, but I was not looking forward to this one. I don't think blue-haired Robin Hoods is a good idea. But and then I had my rant before about using that budget for some story-driven narrative games with IPs that people know or care about. But I think that game it went in the wrong direction. I think Sony realizes it went in the wrong direction, and instead of if it was me, I would just cancel it. But I'm not in charge of anything. They're going to put money in to course correct it. Now, what that looks like in 2026, I don't know. Torrance may be right. The game won't come out, or it ends up like Concord. It comes out, and then 10 days later, it's like, if they do that, that'd be insane. If they have another Concord, I think one's enough. I think if you outdo an ET at this point in gaming is insane. But if you do it twice, I don't know. That's not a good look. But I don't care about that game. I am not. If there's like you could call it live service game, I do care about. I just want to play Monster Hunter Wilds. That gives me everything I need. That's and that's escapism, right? That's like high fantasy,
Yeah.
When you yourself, and then you play with your boys or whatever. Same thing. I like the Souls games, but there's nothing in it. I don't care if you like PvP, if you like Overwatch, that's great. But again, if you're going to try to outdo what's hot now, like Marvel Rivals, how do you do that? Like, you have to have a value proposition that can outdo Marvel Rivals. That means you got great looking characters, great mechanics, great environments, great gameplay. Like, you have to outdo the other guy, or else nobody's moving over. I don't think they're confident they have any of that. So that's what I think is going on.
Yeah. Torrance says nobody would care if Jade Raymond wasn't hot. I mean, if she wasn't attractive, I don't know about the hot part anymore. It's been 20 years, but yeah. I don't disagree with that. I'm looking at the trailer for Fair Games right now because I forgot what this fucking shit was about. I'm like, oh yeah, it's one of these type of games, Oh, let's go against the system. But like, okay.
I find it ironic. It's a game that's supposedly going against the system, right? But it's called Fair Games with a money sign.
With a money sign, yeah.
What is that? It's totally like what do they call it? It's not ludonarrative dissonance, but it's a game that's literally meant to abuse people's wallets, right? Going against the system, but yet has a giant money sign at the end of the thing.
But that's the irony, Manny. That's the statement.
No, it makes sense. It's an utter silly premise, because it's like you're going against the system, but you're literally totally a part of the system, and you are a part of the problem. Your product is a part of the problem.
That's true. I agree. Carlos, what were you gonna say, bro? Yeah.
If this game doesn't come out, I would lean towards saying that Jade Raymond is a professional Hassan. Because this would be ridiculous.
She has like for the years, it's always we always hear about, okay, Jade Raymond's got a new studio and she's working on a game. Oh, that game unfortunately was canceled. All right, next one. Oh, she's got a new studio, and it was at Google. Unfortunately, it was canceled.
Stadia.
Now we're gonna see hopefully we won't see this again.
Stadia,
hopefully something comes out of any of this stuff, because it just, from the outset, granted, she does have her her past glories with the Assassin's Creed thing, but officially that's all she's got, and she doesn't make the games themselves. She's a producer.
Mm-hmm.
She's not like the game director. There is a game. It's funny how like that how she got so associated with Assassin's Creed when she was just the marketing person.
Yeah. No, you're right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, obviously she was the face of it because she was the one that, the compelling person that they would talk to all the time. And you kind of saw the director always sitting to the right or left of her. But for the most part, she didn't make Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, she didn't. It's crazy, man. All right. Moving on here. Tumeke. right? Did the Activision, Blizzard, and Bethesda acquisition put the nail in the coffin for the Xbox console business?
I mean, in general, software is the king, right?
Yeah.
And they invested in software. So,
Yeah, the nail was set long before that acquisition.
Yeah.
yeah. The beginning of beginning of the end all started with our boy Don Matrick. That's where it all started, and they were never able to recover from that.
No, I agree. Yeah. That was the beginning of the end. So all this stuff, it's still taking a while to show dividends.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, now it's like now officially the dividends, on the onset, it just looks like to the executives, oh hey, our game business is doing well. Great, you did a great job, Phil, by buying these other companies.
Yeah, it's like being a team and you get the best player. It's like one of the best players, and it's like we did a team.
But at the same time, like you look at the behind the other stuff. It's like they're already closing down studios. They closed down Tango. They're cutting some stuff on the insides and all kinds of other funky things. So they're. It definitely seems like paradise, but when you dig a little bit deeper, you can see that they got to figure out how they're going to pay for this monster that they essentially got. It's doing good for them, but at the same time, it's like, what was the cost?
$67 billion.
I mean, what was the cost as far as unique IP or new titles or any of that sort of stuff? Now it's like, okay, now we're the Call of Duty Halo Gears of War company. Oh, and we make some RPGs that will probably disappear eventually.
Okay.
Like here's the one thing about Microsoft is that, in this situation, they will make no qualms about closing any one of those studios, no matter how big they are, and essentially licensing the IP to some other studio to make.
Yeah, they probably will.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's move on here.
I'm surprised Double Fine is still there.
I don't know.
Like, what the fuck are those guys doing?
Yeah, I don't know about Avowed. I mean, we'll see if that game does well. I know it's reviewing well, but we'll see how it does. I don't really, again, I don't really have any opinion on that, on Avowed.
Mm-hmm. You haven't disavowed it yet?
No, I haven't. Yeah, because again, I'm not, the only Obsidian game I've ever played was the Outer Worlds. I didn't like that game very much. So if this is more of that, I'm like, I think I'm good, bro. All right, another one from Assyrian Air Force. After playing around with the ROG Ally, I must say playing on consoles is much simpler than on PC. Do you agree? I mean, yeah, that's why consoles do better. It's simpler. But I will say though, in the interest of fairness, playing on consoles is becoming more cumbersome. You turn on your console, gotta do an update, gotta do all this shit. So it's like almost the same. And then the thing is with PC, you may have an initial hurdle doing all this stuff, but once you get everything up and going, you're fine. Just fire up Steam, hit play, and start.
Well, I think that's the thing. Like, is he using the Steam version of the ROG Ally?
No, there is no Steam version of ROG Ally.
There's no Steam version. So, there's your problem.
Mm-hmm,
You're literally dealing with fucking Windows.
Yeah, Tony, am I a Fallout guy? No, I only played 4. Actually, I played 3 and 4, and 3 was one of the worst experiences I ever had. I was playing that shit on PlayStation.
Oh man.
I played,
and he still liked that game too.
I still like that. Still got the platinum. I remember one of my friends recommended. It was Big John, I think. He recommended, like, "Oh man, this is a game you could play for months and months." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like a challenge to me." 2 weeks, bro. Got the platinum and with the DLCs too. But yeah, not I played Fallout 4, and I think I'm good. To be honest. Damn it, Kiss Shack, you threw my fucking train of thought off. I don't even remember what the hell I was talking about. I legit don't remember what I was talking about. Oh yeah, PC game. Okay, RG Ally. Yes, yeah. Console. Okay, Windows 11 sucks on handhelds because trying to navigate Windows on a little screen with your fucking fingers and shit is a pain in the ass. I know you may say, Tony, why don't you use the controls? It don't fucking work. You know, for the most part, they don't work. You have to navigate with your fingers instead on that little 7-inch screen. So there's your problem. You know, it's not really PC gaming versus console gaming. It's really more handheld PC gaming versus console. And yeah, it is way more shit you have to go through on that little fucking handheld for Windows 11. If you had the Steam version, it would be effectively like a console experience, just handheld. So the problem is, so it's not really that PC gaming is that much more difficult. It's that fucking PC gaming on a handheld. That's the problem, bro. You know?
Yeah.
HDR blows on Windows. Yeah, man, don't get me started on that shit. You know, like I'm not gonna I could literally go off for another 30 minutes about that shit. I've got through so many headaches during me testing gaming monitors and shit, and then trying to get HDR on. Pain in the fucking ass, Bren. And I thought it was me being retarded or something. Come to find out, other people in the office having the same issues. You know. Anyway, so yeah, the problem is it's just Windows 11 sucks on handhelds, bro. That's the problem, you know. But yeah, PC gaming easier than it used to be, and console gaming more complex than it used to be. So we're kind of evening things out, you know. Fucking every time, man, load up a place and updates. Like, what is this? Windows? Windows is always doing that shit too, you know. Have you played Titmonger? I don't think that's a real game, Torrance. Actually, it may be on VR. I know the freaky VR games you play. You know?
The ones that require the beads?
Yeah, the beads. Remember that shit, Torrance? They need to put the Steam OS on hell and faster. Yeah, it's coming. The Lenovo Legion Go OS will have a Steam version in April or so. That's good. That's the one to get. Titmonger. Torrance is crazy. All right. We don't need to go. I've rambled on about Windows 11 on handheld for many months or years, probably at this point. All right, moving on here. Jolly Yellow Nerd, who was in the chat before, so hopefully he's still there. TV or monitor for PlayStation 5? I use a TV because TV is better than my monitor, you know. But you know, for some others, it may be the other way around. All right. A Jolly Yellow Nerd. What is a currently popular game mechanic that bothers you? I've been thinking about this question. I still don't have the answer. Go ahead, Carlos.
Weapon fragility. It's the classic.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. Weapon fragility, encumbrance. You know, I don't like that shit. Check said it too. Weapon fragility. There you go.
The encumbrance one, I give more leeway because it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, the encumbrance one is kind of, it pisses me off, especially for those games. There's some games, man. Let me tell you, there's some games, and I can't think of one right now, but you'll think about it when I say it, where you have so many things that you can pick up within, you know, like 10 minutes of playing the game. There's like hundreds and hundreds of stuff that you can pick up, and then you're encumbered like after picking up half of them, and you're just playing through 10 minutes of the game. That's the type of stuff that pisses me off.
Yeah, Jolly Yellow Nerd is there. He goes, weapon fragility was my exact answer. It ruined Breath of the Wild for me. Same here, bro.
It ruined it for me too.
Absolutely ruined the game for me. You know, like
didn't we rant about that?
We did many times. Yeah. It's because of the weapon fragility that I actively avoided battles whenever possible because my weapons would just fucking break. I hate that. That ruined the entire game for me. The weapon fragility bullshit. You know, I'm like, this is why you motherfuckers keep losing to Ganondorf for thousands of years because your weapons keep breaking. You know.
Well, that's only Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm saying that for that game. You know.
He's the weako.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, fuck that.
OG Link, all he needed to do is have extra hearts, and he could throw lasers out of his sword.
And here's the thing with the weapon fragility, it has to make sense. Like the Dark Souls games and Demon Souls, they had weapon fragility, but it wasn't like every 5 strokes, bro. You know?
Yeah,
mean,
and you could repair your shit.
Yeah, you can repair your
it.
shit. You know? And I guess something adjacent to weapon fragility in like Monster Hunter would be sharpening your thing. But that makes sense. You're hitting a fucking monster. You're gonna have to eventually, file this shit.
Sharpen your blade.
But again, you don't have to do it after 5 strokes. You know?
And now you can do it on riding your mount.
Oh, that's amazing! Yeah,
Isn't it great? It's like,
Game-changing.
yeah, it not only is it game changing in between, like, when the monster runs off, but it's like you're in the middle of it, like, oh, my shit is dull. Let me get on this thing right around the monster so I don't get hit while I'm sharpening my shit. It's great. Oh, yeah, weapon fragility, the absolute worst. And then for me, followed by encumbrance. I hate encumbrance so much. Like, what do you mean I can't pick up more shit? Let me pick it up. Does anybody have anything against yellow markers to tell you where to go? Because I know a lot of people complain about that.
You mean the yellow markers on the edges for you to walk on?
Yeah.
I think it's gotten a little bit annoying for the fact that because it means that the level designers can't design something where you can
It's intuitive,
see the difference between these things. So you have to put giant yellow tape on everything so that everybody knows, okay, that's the ledge that you can jump on.
Yeah.
Because like like in the old God of War games, what was it? It wasn't yellow. It was like the edges were shinier. They were visually shinier, or like stood out a little bit more than the other things. Like, okay, that's something I can climb onto. But yeah, now it's like everything's all yellow.
Yeah. Brian, get in here. I know there's probably some modern game mechanics you don't like.
Oh, there's a few. Can I say that I've hated the yellow paint markers since Uncharted, and I know that the Uncharted ones were white, and even since then I've hated. I couldn't stand it when I see it in Uncharted 1. I'm like, why are the things white? Like, I can clearly see that that's where you have to go to since there's nowhere else you can climb, but why on earth do they have to be white, like show you where they are? I did like the birds, though. I like how they put birds as to where you should go, so that when you get there, the birds fly away. That makes sense, because that makes more sense than someone having climbed there and put white paint everywhere. Like, stupid to me. So when this whole yellow paint thing came around, I was like, yeah, it's been a thing for years. Like, no one's really noticed until now. It's like, okay, fine, you guys are finally there.
I mean, God of War, the original God of Wars had something like that, but it was never like. It was just the edge was a little bit more shinier, or a little bit more like you just got a little bit more edge that sort of visually stood out from everything else. But I think I think a lot of times why they have to do these sorts of things is because, let's just be honest, they want to make a level that seems like it's realistic, but also at the same time, it. Being that it's realistic, now you have to show the differences between the things that you can interact with and the things that you can't interact with, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but it should be done in a better way than yellow paint. I think that's just it feels lazy to me, in my opinion. It generally just feels like they said, okay, let's just
it's most definitely lazy. Yeah.
I just think that there's much better ways of doing it. Again, like the birds in Uncharted 1, I think that's way better, a lot better in my opinion. In terms of other things I don't like, weapon fragility, I'm kind of in the same boat as you guys. I don't mind the concept, but Breath of the Wild did it way too harshly. That was my issue with it, really. Yeah, that's all that needs to be said with that. And with encumbrance, the only thing I need to say about that is every single game does it wrong apart from SOCOM. Because every single game is all the same. Like, you can be there with 99% and you're fine, and then you pick up one thing and then suddenly you slow down to crawl. It makes no sense. Whereas in SOCOM, it was the more weight you carried, the slower you went, and it was proportional. So obviously, if you load up on like 3-4 landmines, you go very slowly. But then if you load up on 2 landmines, you go faster, but not like instantly crawling. So
you
that
know who
makes
does
sense
it
to me.
perfect? You know who does that perfect? You know, it's on brand for us, but Elden Ring.
The encumbrance. Oh,
Yeah,
the fat,
because
yeah,
it's
fat
like
roll and shit like
roll.
that. Yeah.
yeah, because if you're someone that's just gonna, if you're a mage, there's no damn reason why you should be wearing armor that's made for a fucking brute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
I can see that. And the only other thing that I just cannot stand is RPGs that have ridiculously meaningless upgrades, where it's like, oh yeah, you gain 5% damage to fire. It's like 5%.
Yeah.
What difference does that make? Like, don't give me 5%. Give me like 100%. Like make it meaningful that I want to get this upgrade. Now I understand that Path of Exile has like, it's not really a skill tree, it's a skill forest at that point. So that makes sense because it's massive. But most games that have a skill tree of like maybe 25 things to unlock, and some of them are like, oh yeah, gain 2% critical hit damage. It's like, it makes no fucking difference to anything. You know?
To add to Brian's point, well, not to add to Brian's point, but sort of like tangentially to Brian's point, having skill trees for games that really don't deserve them, and Manny's about to, be like, what? Oh yeah, that one, God of War. It's like there's no reason why games like that should have skill trees.
Yeah, that's annoying too. It's like, why? But yeah, like you said, it's for specific games because I don't mind skill trees in other games. Like in Spider-Man, that's perfectly fine. Got a bunch of tech, sure. But God of War, yeah, I don't know about that. And then I don't know if there's a game mechanic, but I hate that the color system of loot. It's like, why does it have to be in everything? You know what I'm talking about? Like,
Oh yeah.
Blue,
it's a rare
green,
one.
yellow. It's stupid.
I have a question.
What's up?
Do you guys speaking of skill trees, do you guys prefer the skill trees that, for me, like a true RPG is picking a skill tree and only sticking to a skill tree because it only makes sense to pick that skill tree?
Yeah, like
As opposed
if
to
you're
something
like a knight and shit, just pick stuff that's good for combat instead of like picking
Yes.
magic. Yeah, I tend to do that. Yeah.
As opposed to a game like Spider-Man where it's like, we'll just get everything.
Yeah. Even I like that too because then you're not missing nothing. So
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of the God of War thing. Like the old God of War didn't have a skill tree per se, but it did have a thing where you just unlocked it. You unlock things used because of all the those red orbs or that red blood that you would always gather. Right. I don't mind that idea, especially for a game like those where it's like, okay, so it gives you the idea that there's some sort of you're getting stronger or any of that stuff. But again, like if you go to Dad of War, they have all these skill trees, and I'm sure everybody has their one combo that they always use all the damn time.
Yep.
And they barely touch any of the other things.
that's true, right? That's me. I feel attacked. But I do that with every fucking hack and slash game. I find that one optimal combo, and that's all I do for the rest of the game because I'm like, why change it if it works for every situation?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anybody else annoying game mechanics?
Yeah, I think we covered it.
Yeah, the weapon agility is a big one for all of us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right, here's another one from Mr. Jolly Yellow Nerd, kind of related.
Roguelikes for the last one, roguelikes in general.
That's not a game mechanic. That's just a genre,
Yeah, it's a game.
It's not. It's a genre.
You gotta die.
Yeah, I don't like them either. I think they're trash.
But
that should be a question for what genres do you hate? I could name a lot of them. But Manny, you can't say, dying and losing all your shit. That's a game mechanic, Like, or I also don't, so kind of. I don't know if Prestige generated worlds. That's not a game mechanic. That's more game design. Somebody asked us that question for the future. What game design do you hate?
Yeah, there you go.
And we could be positive around here. All right. What is an underused game mechanic that you would like to see more of? I'm going to say the obvious, because this game mechanic is owned by a fucking studio. They won't give it to anybody else. You know what I'm about to say, man. You know?
Nemesis.
The Nemesis system. Fucking amazing, you know? But it's locked behind WB, man. They don't give it to everybody. But it's such a great thing, you know? It really makes games dynamic.
Yeah.
So that's a great answer, Tony.
Yeah.
And let me just say this. Don't worry, it will be available to a lot more people once WB closes down the studio that currently is using it.
Yeah.
That Wonder Woman game they're working on.
Do you mean the game that's never
right
coming
there.
out?
Yeah. That's the nail in the coffin, I think.
All right, since Rich is talking, I'll answer for him.
Uh-oh.
The most underutilized game mechanic is the one that allows you to play Concord.
Oh shit. Yeah. Nintendo might sue me for this, but I like capturing creatures by throwing a ball mechanic.
Oh, that's it.
There you go. That's an underutilized mechanic, you know, for obvious reasons.
They're checking their patents right now.
Yeah, a Syrian Air Force said that. That's good. That's a good one. All right. Brian, you got anything underutilized game mechanics you want to see more of?
I want to see more games with environmental takedowns.
Whoa, there you go.
Oh,
Even still to this day, I still think of all the different ways to take people down in Sleeping Dogs, and it's just like, yeah, that was so great and so much fun. You know, like, you just don't get that as much these days. I think the closest that we got since was the Arkham games. But
Yeah.
even then, they weren't like, oh yeah, you're like throwing a guy through an AC vent, you're like drowning a guy in a fish tank, you're closing a shutter on someone's chest. Like, no, there's none of that.
Like the Punisher game.
Yeah, the Punisher. I was thinking the same thing. Punisher on Xbox had that.
Yeah,
I remember taking a mafia dude and I put him in like a dry cleaner press, and then this Punisher just sucks the shit out of him and fries him in it. I'm like, damn. That game had great environmental takedowns.
Yeah. Speaking about superhero games, like the Wolverine game that Activision put out, they had this really cool mechanic where, like, if you keep doing a specific like attack against an enemy, once you level it up, like that thing will just kind of almost instantly kill them. So it's like a smarter way of leveling up in an RPG, you know? Because it's like Wolverine learned how to take down a Sentinel. Why is it always taking the exact same amount of strength every time? It makes sense if he just learns how to do it faster. If you kill 100 of any type enemy, it should just be like, okay, I know how to kill these guys now faster. It shouldn't just be the same shit all the time. But no games do that, really, you know? It's like, it's weird. Like in Spider-Man, imagine if they have a mechanic. It's like, yeah, if you're fighting against normal humans, just punch them once and they're done. You know, that's what would really happen. Spider-Man was fighting regular people, you know, but it's like you're doing combos on these dudes. You know, it's like, wait, what? Like, why is this homeless guy taking combos? You know?
Oh, well, I mean, obviously you need to play as Mary Jane, where she can one-shot Craven's Hunter Squad with a taser.
Jesus. Horrible. All right, man. And the last question of the night.
I had one more.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
One of my favorite mechanics that never was used anywhere else was the waypoint system from Dead Space.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I love that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, just it lays down that laser and you can follow it. It's like, okay, I need to get to a save room. I need to get here. I need to follow the mission, and just puts down the laser. That's no yellow line. That shit was clutch.
Yeah.
Especially when you're like, I'm all fucked up. I need to go save the game.
And
that was also great. Yeah.
The navigation on it was also really good. It didn't like some of the navigations for other games where it's like you see it in Monster Hunter, actually, where you see the little green things are going one direction, and then you're like, nah, man, I don't want to go that way. I'm going to go this way because it's quicker to get over there. You know?
No, and the thing was smart too, because the Ishimura stuff, some of the places were multi-level. The laser would tell you what level to go on.
Yep.
Like there's modern waypoint systems that it's like, hey, you're here, and it's like, no, obviously the thing is not here, and then you realize you're either a level above it or below it, and it just points the point at the same place, right? No, the Dead Space one was fucking legit. It would the laser would go into the ceiling like, no,
Yep.
you got to go
Like,
up there.
doop. Like,
Like,
oh
okay.
shit. Okay. Yeah, that was smart. Yeah.
I would say one for and this is for Adam, who's not here right now, was for the Mafia games, where essentially, you know,
The roadie run. There you go.
There's
That-
there's that the roadie run, but there's also in the Mafia games where you did have a waypoint system, but it didn't give you a visual like a line or anything on the road. What it did was it would generate signs to
Yeah.
tell you which way to go. So they would be in the environment to be able to tell you, okay, make the next left, or make the next right. Like it was. So it was. What do they call it? What are they? Like the Dead Space guy has his power bar on his back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's his health on
whatever-
his back. Yeah.
Whatever way whatever that is called, I can't remember what it is, intuitive or I can't remember what they call that. Where in other words, you have things in the game that tell you what you need to do, but it doesn't have any HUD. And
Yeah.
that Mafia, the way it worked is like, okay, signs. You just follow the signs that just appear, and it'll get you there.
Pretty cool. All right. Anybody else underutilized game mechanics? All right. Now we'll move on. Yeah, what's up?
Roadie Run. Roadie Run might even be a licensed.
Could be.
Aspect, and maybe the reason why we don't see something like that is because even though it is just a run button, you just press the thing in, but yeah, theoretically,
Yeah, it's just a run button and the camera kind of does a cool like angle.
does a little angle, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Last question of the night. This is a sponsor question from Mr. Ace Ali, sponsoring one of Black Metal questions. So thank you for sponsoring that one. What games with forced stealth missions angered you and ruined the pacing of the game?
Spider-Man 2.
Oh shoot!
Oh,
Mary Jane.
Yeah,
Mary
shout out
Jane
to
missions.
Carlos. That's a perfect answer.
Yeah, it really is.
Both Spider-Man games.
Both of them,
The
yeah.
No, but the second one was even worse.
It was,
man.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
more egregious.
The Miles ones were pretty bad in that first one too.
You know what's funny about forced stealth? For like around the time when that became kind of an accusation, I didn't mind it because I was just like, because I already like Metal Gear, so I'm like, I don't mind this shit. The first one, I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Was Uncharted 4. Remember those forced stealth missions when you're like a little kid and shit? And even in the museum when you're an adult? I'm like, all right, bro, what is this? But yeah, no, I agree with you guys. Those Spider-Man forced stealth missions were fucking bullshit.
Here's the thing, here's the thing about like stealth in general. Whenever it's implemented, it's forced.
It's bad.
The way like Splinter Cell used to do, or like as soon as you get seen, everything ends.
Yeah.
No, 3 alarms,
That's
Fisher.
right, yeah.
Yeah. Cancel the mission, Fisher.
Cancel
Go
the mission.
home,
Like, bitch, I'm in the middle of Russia. I can't just end it now.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
Here's
like
one-
like if you're gonna go down that line and do the whole stealth thing, do it. Don't do it right, and don't do like again, like why are we playing these? I get it. We want to give a little bit more variety to the game, but at any point, any of those side characters that have ever shown up in some of those games, like the Spider-Man games, did you even give a shit?
Yeah.
Other than having your main characters that can swing around.
Yeah. All right. Anybody
Here's
else?
one for you.
What's up?
Here's one that's going to make Chris just go into a blind rage. Lord of Shadow 2.
Oh, I was thinking of that, Brian. Damn, you reached into my brain. That's fucking weak ass Dracula. Like, you got to sneak past
Oh
the
my
soldiers.
God! Yes, bullshit.
In a game where he wanted to die as well. It's like,
Yeah.
So he died, so I won the game, but I lost the game? How does that make sense?
Oh my God, Brian, that's a great answer because I was thinking of that. I'm like, that bullshit sequel, Lords of Shadow.
Yeah, Lords is. Oh my God, that was terrible.
Shadow 2. Whoa.
Both of those games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The first one didn't have. I don't remember that having mandatory.
No, it
sneaking
didn't.
Sequence.
That didn't have stealth. The second one though. Oh.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else for stealth? All right. Guess we're done with that. So we are done for the show. Good stuff. Couple of things. The latest episode of the Invincible podcast, the greatest podcast in the universe, is now up on the Coalition's YouTube channel. Dana is back with us this time. Lots of fun. We're covering episode 4, which means we are now officially at the halfway point. And yeah, Chris, like I said, the door's open, man. You know, if you want to come next time.
I'm gonna catch up. Yeah.
Yeah. But have you been watching it though, or you know? 'Cause I know you've tried to, and then Olivia.
I'm behind. I'm at episode 2. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, good stuff. The Invincible's the shit. You know, go watch that. Don't go watch Captain America. Watch some real shit. You know.
Oh, no, please don't waste money on
that bullshit. So that's what's going on there. Rich, what else is coming up on the Coalition this week?
Oh, yes. Well, it's going to be an extremely busy week at the Coalition. Now, as Tony already mentioned, Invincible Podcasts, episode 4 is out. We will be recording the next episode this upcoming weekend, so stay tuned for that. I just recorded a review with Dana for a movie that's coming out later this week called The Monkey.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it is a horror comedy movie. And it was quite surprising. So I would definitely tell you guys, stay tuned for that review. That will be up later this week. We have our very good friend, Mr. Adam Vale. He has a show that he has been working on related to the Reacher series. That will also be debuting later this week. So stay tuned for that. And as for the gaming stuff, a lot of reviews and previews coming this week. We have a review coming for Yakuza Pirate.
Nice.
This week, we have a review coming for Lost Records. Also this week, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's made by the same people that made Life is Strange. Don't nod. Not the other team. Okay, so that means this actually might be something worth looking forward to. So stay tuned for those reviews. And there's plenty of other reviews, previews, stuff I can't talk about, but I would just say it's going to be very busy on the website this week, as well as the YouTube. So definitely stay tuned.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, man, we're out of here. So make sure you follow Throwdown on Twitch and Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, join the Discord, and follow us on your favorite podcast app. Links to everything down below. Once again, I was your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you next time.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
Peace out.
Richard Bailey Jr.
Have a good week, everybody.
And Brian Majoma.
Later, people.
Right, guys, you already know.